Hey everybody, welcome to Geeksvana Live. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and this evening in the UK, that is. Yes, so we've got a lot to talk about this evening. Got a lot of very exciting stuff happening. I hope that most people have watched, been across and watched our launch video for the DJI Air 3S. It was a lot of excitement making it, something slightly different from our channel. We don't normally make videos of that type, but it was really enjoyable. Shall I put my earpiece in here so I can actually hear Graham? Perhaps that was Freudian or something that I didn't want to hear what Graham's saying. He's giggling in the background. But yes, so today we're going to be having a Q&A. So it's all about you guys. I do have the drone with me here on screen so that we can obviously have a chat about that. So we can have a look at it. We've got a top-down camera set up on the other scene. And we've got a few other bits and pieces to talk about, including answering your questions from the chat. So if you've got a question, please put in their Q or question or tag me. That will make it easier to be able to spot you. But we will be going through the chat as well. It's all about you guys this evening. But to start, we're going to play out the launch video and then we'll welcome in Graham and see what kind of weird and wacky, wonderful shirt he has on this evening. So start your betting in the chat as far as Graham's shirt now, please. Enjoy this.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't seem to have a Graham actually. Let's bring the focus in, shall we? Here he is, the main man, the shirt reveal. Oh, that's quite calm.
It's all about the waistcoat tonight, Sean.
Yeah, very nice waistcoat. It's actually quite calm.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm at a snooker tournament later. I'm just getting my snooker racket.
No, there's a really British reference for you, isn't it? Basically, yeah. So. But yes, as Daniel was saying in the chat, I agree. That is a pretty awesome landing shot there with the return to home. It is very accurate. I didn't try and land inside any windows so far, actually. But Michaela says boo for the shirt, but Tazzy looks pretty shocked as well. But now we've got over Shirtgate. We'll obviously crack on with the show itself as well. But yes, one thing I wanted to address early on is there was a couple of comments in the pre-show talking about being able to trade, whether DJI do a trade-in or discussing the fact that they should do one. Well, I've confirmed just minutes before the show with a quick call to the team that if you go to dji-retail.co.uk, this is a UK thing here at the moment, and you go into one of the product pages, you'll see here on the top right where it says DJI Trade-In, get credit towards your next purchase. And you click on that and it brings up another subdomain, obviously still within the DJI Retail, it's their trade-in site. And you can actually trade in your drone here, basically. So obviously tells you how it works and that type of thing. And you then obviously decide which one you're going to have. And then it gives you the store credit of 344. This is for the Air 3, and cash of 287. Obviously, they're always going to give you a little bit more store credit, aren't they, than the cash price. But this is obviously basically they're guaranteed to pay the full amount as long as the drone meets the following criteria: that you've got the drone, the controller, the same model as listed on the order, that they're both in fully working condition, and obviously fair wear and tear, and at least one working battery provided with the drone. The items are UK or EU models, and that your DJI account has been removed from the drone controller. Yes.
So even they have problems.
Yes,
yeah.
that's an important one, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. So we'll see a lot of odd batteries going up on the groups for sale by the looks
yes,
of
that's
it.
Right. Yes.
You won't send them 3, will you?
No, that's right. Exactly. And you know, it's never these things with trade-ins and that type of thing. You're never going to get, it's a bit like the sort of we buy any car thing, isn't it? When you look on those sites, you're never going to get a very satisfactory level of price that you're going to be 100% happy with. You're
paying for the convenience and avoiding having to go through, Fleabay and
Fleabay. Yes, I mean, within our launch video, I did actually show that we still have all of the Air series of drones that I've accumulated since 2017, all of the models. That's actually one of the reasons why I've still got them all, because it's one of those ones where it's sort of like I don't like sort of dealing with the second-hand sales market.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's just something I don't
absolutely
don't like doing personally.
See,
but
I've got the Phantom 4 up there, the Mavic 2. In fact, the Mavic 2 Pro. I used the other weekend at 600 feet. That was
very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We're also going to be giving away a couple of £50 vouchers directly from DJI Hasselblad UK this evening. So thank you to them. And I also wanted to thank Tom and the team at DJI Hasselblad for making all of this kind of content possible on the channel. They've been extremely flexible in working with us and in helping us work the way that we already work, staying independent and all that kind of good stuff. We don't have any of our content approved by them. They literally just check if we have everything we need is pretty much the only thing they ever call us to check on, which is incredible. But we do have a couple of £50 vouchers to give away this evening, which is very generous. And we'll be doing those in a little bit. So everybody remind me on that. So this is an interesting drone, isn't it? Because it's one that obviously one of the questions that we have to ask in terms of this drone is actually, who is this actually for? And it has an incredible camera, and it's certainly very capable, as I think the videos that we've put out has shown on there. But yeah, I mean, who is this drone for? Is it sort of, would you say, higher end, recreational, lower end, commercial? Is this even relevant in the commercial space?
I mean, there's aspects to it which I think we'll probably come on to, which sort of say no for definitely no for high end commercial use. But I still think it's a crossover drone. I think it will find its way into a few pros kit bags just because it seems to be a decent all-rounder.
Yeah, it is, and I have to say I've been really, really impressed with it. And there's pretty much no kind of flying that I carry out that I wouldn't use this drone for. But obviously, as Graham knows, I was already a very big fan of the Air 3, which is on the table behind me this evening. But the addition of the LiDAR sensor, the nighttime omnidirectional, and that 1-inch sensor as the main camera on this drone is absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, it helps that I'm used to the controllers, I'm used to the drone itself, etc. So all of that is something which I'm very used to, which is nice, really. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I wonder if anybody is going to be, I was going to say, get the full use out of a LiDAR sensor on the front. But of course, with the consumer drones, we don't have the access to the SDKs, do we? And the DJI seem to have drawn a line in the sand with that.
They've drawn a line, haven't they? I know there are people out there who are finding a way around
Yes.
that. And if you're on the commercial groups, you'll probably know who I'm talking about.
But yes, it isn't one of the official ways of using the drone, which is
not an easy one.
Yeah, no, indeed, and it's something that I think actually would be very useful, especially with this LiDAR sensor, because I wonder what other uses people with access to SDK could get out of it. But perhaps we'll see an enterprise version of this at some point. We don't usually see that with the Air drones. It's the main Mavic series that actually sticks to. So yes.
But that LiDAR, and we were discussing this when I was driving home tonight, that LiDAR capability in terms of sensing and avoiding obstacles.
Yes.
When you start seeing that 360, because they will use it, they will bring it onto the next drones up, and you know, you can see it on a Mavic, you can see it on well, the next Inspire is probably a few years off, but the next enterprise zones, you've got all round LiDAR. All of a sudden, you've got a really good argument for flying closer to people, and you know, doing that under an operational authorization. You've got good mitigations for an operating risk assessment,
and the fact that we have the potential that the UK will allow the C1 label use in the UK. This drone is yet another argument in favor of that, isn't it? Basically, it's
absolutely in terms of safety, it's another iterative step. And I know people complain about, you know, oh, DJI, they're the Apple of drones, but actually, if you don't make these iterative steps, you can't pay for the next iterative step. And you know, you look a few years on, and all of a sudden you'll see there's a big gulf between what you had a few years ago and what you've got now. That camera.
No, indeed, exactly.
14 stops of range.
Yeah, dynamic range. It's incredible, isn't it?
This is what I bought a few years ago to go on the Inspire 2, and that has 12.8 stops. If I wanted 14 stops of dynamic range, you'd have to upgrade to the X7, which was a really expensive beast with expensive lenses. But you know, here we are 6 years later, and we're getting something that, you know, only weighs a few hundred grams more than that for the whole drone.
No, exactly. Which is incredible, isn't it? It's mind blowing, really.
Amazing.
A question here from Emery Productions. Question for the top speed. We can bring the web page up here and have a look at the specs straight off the pages here. I've got all the spec pages at core so that we can make this a little bit easier. The max ascent speed is 10 meters a second. Descent is also 10 meters a second. At sea level in windless conditions is 21 meters a second, and at sea level with a 6 ms tailwind whilst flying in the same direction as the wind. I was waiting for something else there and stood on one leg or something to come up on that as well, but that's 27 meters a second, so fairly impressive. But obviously bear in mind as well that in the EU region it's limited to 19 meters a second, which obviously doesn't affect us here in the UK. But yes, that's one to keep in mind when we're talking about speeds, that the EU don't have the same benefit at the moment.
And when we're talking about wanting to bring C1 in or its equivalent, that will probably start to throttle that sort of aspect.
Yes. I don't think so. This one where Amok Time Flies, his question goes off the camera, off the thing here, but can you change cameras without having to stop recording then start again? That's what I was hoping for. I don't think so, and this is actually one of the things that I do need to clarify myself. Every time I tried to do that, depending on all of the different flight settings that I was doing, and I've been out flying this drone a lot recently, I wasn't able to do that. I did have to stop, and I know exactly what you mean, because it's one of the things that I was really hoping would be the one of the things that happened. Now, obviously, we do as well have the UK drone rules video, which is coming out. I mentioned in my video, but we haven't released it yet. That's coming out tomorrow. But in terms of flying this drone here in the UK, you've got a few options. Obviously, there's the good old A3 subcategory, which is keeping far from people. So you only need a flyer ID and operator ID to do that. And then you need to stay 150 meters away from congested areas, 50 meters away from uninvolved people. So that's if you're flying, doing landscapes and, you know, in the countryside, and you're unlikely to come across uninvolved people closer to that, basically. Now, in terms of reducing those distances, you have a few options. I'll play a few clips as we're talking here. One of those is to gain an A2 C of C, which allows you to get closer than the 150 in congested areas. In fact, you can go straight into congested areas, but you still have to keep that 50 meters of horizontal separation, which can be fairly tough, can't it? It's not impossible, but it can be fairly tough.
It's not impossible, and it sort of depends on the area. There's beaches which abut a town. I go down to Deal quite regularly, and I can walk 50 meters away from the sort of walkway, which I'd have as being the last part of the congested area, walk down onto the beach, and I'm in the clear, and I can fly out from there. So and you can get lovely views of the town. So it's definitely doable. But yeah, you do have to watch where you're doing it.
You do. And actually, I was speaking to Kelly Anderson in the chat before the show started regarding using drones for estate agency photography. And a few of the people that I know that do that fairly seriously, they actually carry a Mini 4, Mini 3, Mini 4, and an Air 3, and they kind of assess it while they're there, because sometimes when they're about to fly, there is literally nobody around, and it's not the most congested area, etc. Obviously, they've got their A2, and they can get the Air 3 up to get those slightly better shots. And of course, it depends on time of day and all that kind of thing. There's ways you can control that, etc. as well. The other way that you can fly here in the UK is via an Article 16 authorization. So if you're a member of something like FPV UK, you can fly. Now, there is a video on the channel regarding Article 16 authorization. So if you don't know it, I won't go into too much detail of it now, but it basically means you can take off in parks, even in congested areas, and you can have 30 meter separation of uninvolved people, which is a bubble, which is incredible, really, isn't it? 15 meters landing with mitigation. So you can really get much closer and fly over people, even with drones like the DJI Air 3S, which is incredible. And actually, DJI Hasselblad, there's a link in the description. If you buy a drone via them, you get 3 months free FPV UK membership at the moment, which is pretty cool, because FPV UK is already one of the other organizations that we recommend on the channel. So it's not bad when they come together like that, is it, basically?
Funnily enough, I'm probably going to join this month.
Oh, very good. Are you?
Yeah.
What's your use case out of interest for joining?
Use case is, although I talk and bang on a lot about drones, I don't fly them much commercially. So they've got that nice £5 million public liability insurance for commercial
15
use.
million, actually, I think it is. I think it's 5 million. That's right. Yes. And it's the first 15,000 of turnover, isn't it, basically? Yes. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. That's fine for me. And then it will give me good cover for, fun and games flying. Yeah. And it's 25 quid, so why wouldn't I?
Indeed. Now, Graham, you're an old guy like me. Can you name the movie that this particular cathedral was from?
Oh, crikey.
Anybody in Surrey that's in the chat that's of a certain age will know that as well.
I heard it recently, and I can't remember for the life of me because I am an old chap.
Yes, all the footage you're seeing this evening is with the Air 3S. There are 4K versions of these shots in my recorded video that we released on the channel earlier. It is so impressive at night, I have to say. Yes, Guildford Cathedral, The Omen, Harvey M Photography. There you go. He got it.
I thought it was.
Yes.
Was that you on the scooter?
Yeah. No, because it was moving. If I was sat on that thing, it would be it'd be some kind of cartoon comedy with the tires would go instantly flat and that type of thing. So no, that wasn't me. So yes, but it's really interesting as well with the new LiDAR sensor, which is across the front of the drone here, the very front, sort of between where you're used to seeing the sensors on the Air 3. It's really interesting because it's actually pretty effective in terms of nighttime obstacle avoidance with all the other sensors and everything as well. And for return to home, the drone takes pictures as it takes off to be able to be highly accurate in terms of the return to home. So I think that's pretty incredible, really. And some of the things that we actually noticed is that we were able to almost, I'm going to try and remember which of these, here we go. We were actually trying to fly it at the car and at my camera crew's heads and that type of thing. And sure enough, it did fly around them and didn't threaten to cut anybody's heads off, which was pretty amazing, frankly. But it's incredible, isn't it? This nighttime avoidance works the same as pretty much as it does in the daytime now. I mean, that blows my mind. I don't know about you in terms of, I mean, you were talking about the 14 stops and needing to have an Inspire type drone and detachable to get that. But for me, it's just as incredible to be able to have the nighttime avoidance working that well. It's incredible. Now, I feel like we do need to caveat that from the point of view that nothing is perfect, and we're not talking about thin wires, the odd branch of a tree, that type of thing. Yeah. So do not fly this drone at night thinking it's completely bulletproof. It is, as usual, all of this technology is a fantastic backup for it, basically.
Yeah, nothing beats visual line of sight in that respect, and knowing your environment.
Yes, exactly. Yes, a few people have ordered it via my link and blaming me for spending their money, actually, which is a new experience.
I think it's also worth saying that LiDAR, though it works well at night and it does the picture thing, that optical return to home is a daylight mode.
Yes, that's right. Yes, the return to home when you've lost satellites, which is obviously using the LiDAR and the sensors, that's absolutely a daylight version. Yes, indeed. It's very worth saying that. So, but again, having the 1-inch sensor and actually having, people have liked these circus shots, so I thought I'd bring some more of them along to the show. But the 1-inch sensor and having the 70mm as well, the mix of shots that you can get is absolutely incredible. I mean, between the, when I was getting the sunset shots and that type of thing, there's just the quality of that 70mm is so exciting. I have to say, it's incredible. I mean, this was one of the shots that we managed to get with the 70mm, and it's just, I just love it. I mean, it's just phenomenal.
That's reminiscent of that flight we did last summer. Yeah, over in the Surrey.
Channel members can access that video. It's when I was chasing Graham up to, I chased him up to 400 feet because that's how high I'm allowed to fly. But Graham was flying his, it was the Inspire 2, that one, wasn't it?
Inspire,
up to 1,000 feet. And in fact, it was the Air 3 that I chased him on that's a members video, quite a different members video, actually. And actually, for channel memberships, you do get some very different types of content on the channel, although it's been a little bit lacking recently, but that's coming soon, including some CAA stuff on there as well, actually, which will be very exciting. But it is still very secure in the sky, this airframe. I remember the Mavic 3 kind of put me off a little bit with all of the satellite issues it had, and when it first came out, it was a little bit clunky in the air, and there was I just didn't fill me full of complete confidence, all of those issues. They've sorted all that out now, and it's an incredible drone, but the Air 3 has always been very solid, so it's always been my favorite, basically.
Well, and also, again, 12 meters per second in the wind that's the wind rating on it. That seems to be standard now, doesn't it? It used to be standard at 10. It's now gone up to 12.
It's incredible, isn't it? Isn't it?
Still a small drone, 12 meters.
It's absolutely incredible. It's some of the things which have become standard, apart from making us all feel very old, is just, mind blowing, isn't it? Really, absolutely mind blowing.
And I flew in those conditions all weekend for the Derby, and when you're flying in a wind like that, it's not the sort of thing you just go out and say, I'll just fly in this because it'll be risk free. You know that it's blowing. You know about it, and it's great to see that capability.
And actually, Daniel was mentioning it there. How good is the LiDAR with power lines? In the write-ups, in the specs, in the guidance notes, etc., that we received as well, it was very much talking about nighttime avoiding buildings and large objects. There was very little discussion of things like power lines and that type of thing. So, personally, as I did with the cathedral and actually also with the circus location, etc., I think you should still have a daylight recce, basically, before you fly there.
Absolutely. It's not going to be a really high resolution tool.
Yes. Yeah, it is, as with so many of these things, it's a really, really good backup. Dan the Drone Man, good to see you. Please ask DJI why they're not providing split ND filters. Now, I didn't think of this until I read your comment, actually, but I think it's a really good point. The ND filters are the same over the two. They're very good ND filters. 838, is it? 38 and
Moved them away
832
from
and 128. Sorry, I was reading the little line.
Oh, you're reading.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I have to bring it closer for me. I'm an old man for me to be able to
We're
read.
old.
But actually, it's a good idea that Dan has in terms of having one filter strength across the two different apertures. Doesn't really, maximize the use of the the very different cameras. I think that's a really good point, isn't it? It's a really good idea. I think they should probably have you on commission, Dan, for that one, because I think it's a really good idea. Now, one of the other things which has changed, and we've talked a few times already this evening about things evolving and not being how they used to when we started our drone flying, is return to home. I always used to have that as an emergency backup. I still very rarely use it, but it's interesting because there was a point where I would recommend that as well on my videos. And sure enough, if you went into the DJI manuals, it would say this is an emergency backup situation, you use in emergencies, etc. It's not really that anymore. And it is now described in the manuals as a way to get your drone back, basically, and a highly accurate way, kind of almost more accurate than you flying it back sometimes as well. And how do you feel about return to home these days? Do you think it's still just an emergency backup?
I'm old and I don't like it. I mean, to be fair, when I'm flying the bigger drones, what I tend to do is switch to ATI mode and fly back in ATI just because it's good.
Right. Yes.
To have practice in ATI mode.
We'll check you out.
But I must say, I was doing a job which some members of the public were viewing, and I thought, I'm going to let this finish its job and come and land itself. And you watch it because I land on a table and you don't want it to clip the edge. And it was the Mavic 3 Enterprise, and it just came down and just set itself in the center of the table. I thought, that's not bad.
No, exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, it's very good.
Amok Timeflies is saying, Jamie, one of the best things about the Freewell split ND filters for the Air 3 is not having to fiddle about with your EV settings. So it's good to know that they are out there. But yes, we need to see those on the official product line. Most definitely. I agree with what Dan said there, but that's interesting to know. Thank you, Amok Timeflies. Geeksvana, would be great to buy the 3S on its own with compatible batteries and RC2. Yeah, it's interesting actually. Obviously the RC2 it's an existing drone, so there is compatibility, but they haven't announced this one as a drone alone. That hasn't been one of the packages. And although in the comments to our recorded video, we did state, hey, that could happen, but someone did point out that didn't happen with the Mini 4 actually. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not that happens at all in the future, frankly. So yes, but return to home for me, it still feels like an emergency mechanism, but I'm coming round. I'm starting because in actual fact, when we were out flying with Will, producer Will, who was just passed his A2 certificate of competency, so congratulations, producer Will. He was flying the Air 3 whilst I was flying the Avata 2 to get the shots. In fact, I have a shot here somewhere. It would be the last one, wouldn't it? This is the Air 3S recording the Avata 2, which was the chase aircraft for these shots that we flew. And actually, when I said, okay, great, bring it back, and he was like, shall I use return to home? So obviously he's still fairly new pilot, and I said, no, bring it back yourself. And I kind of caught myself because I thought, actually, being a new pilot, is it actually better to bring it back by return to home now? Because obviously it's so reliable, isn't it?
No, because as a new pilot, you need more practice.
Yeah, I know,
I know,
but it's in my mind now. It started to permeate in there, and it's starting to have an impact, shall we say? So, I did also wonder if this, and I pondered this in the main video, whether or not this could be used by police and search and rescue, and because obviously it's low cost, it's got the zoom, it's high quality, it's got a long battery life, 45 minutes, and it has the nighttime obstacle avoidance. But I wonder, especially in the UK, how much, not having obviously a drone this cheap isn't going to have a very high IP rating, and actually how much that would limit things from that point of view, because obviously they can't really, it's okay, the burglars or the muggers are doing so in the rain, so we can't chase after them with the drones. Isn't very handy, is it?
I would imagine they would keep the Mavic 3. in the toolbox, I would have thought.
Yeah,
but
no, indeed. And another one which is interesting actually is the Air 3 batteries. And again, I confirmed this in the video, but the Air 3 batteries, they do 100% work in the Air 3S. So if you do buy one of the lower packs and want to use your Air 3 batteries, that does work. The show
or trade in, send in one battery. I wouldn't suggest it would be the worst battery, but send in one working battery and keep the others, and save yourself having to buy a combo.
If I didn't just cut the entire stream off when I hit the keyboard there. And as you can see, the shoulder bags are completely different between the Air 3 and the 3S. And Graham, which is which?
That one, he said.
You're right, that one.
The one nearest the chimp looks slightly bigger.
Actually, no, that was actually the Air 3 bag. But yeah, there you go. So it shows you, doesn't it? Really,
I know nothing.
Indeed. Right, let's give away a £50 voucher, shall we? Because we've actually got 2 to give away this evening, and we're already rattling through the show. And we're going to have a hashtag. We're going to have a hashtag DEG shirt. So that's DEGG and then the word shirt, all one word. If you put that in the chat, and then I'm going to pick. We've got the randomizer set up here on the side, and we're going to pick someone in a couple of minutes, once or in a minute, once that's happened.
And if you put Dreg shirt, you will never win anything ever again.
That's slightly.
You will be cursed.
That's not right, surely.
Come on, Droning Vision. It's 2 G's. 2 G's.
DEGG and then shirt. All one word, please, people. All one word. But you can win a £50 DJI Hasselblad UK voucher, and they're going to send it to you directly. So we'll grab your email address and send it across to them, which is very exciting. And thank you again to DJI Hasselblad for supporting us in that way. It's very, very useful.
You've thanked them. Can I have a little whinge?
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to. I wanted to see an optical zoom.
Yeah, and
it's digital.
It's fixed aperture as well. The optical zoom I'm okay with, because it works well, and I'm not much of a zoomer in terms of when I'm recording footage. So I'm not really used to it. Again, you're used to the larger aircraft where you have that zoom capability is absolute standard, and of course the quality of the X gimbals, which is incredible. So I suppose again that's coming from our different levels of experience, isn't it? Different angles of experience. So it doesn't concern me too much. I know a lot of people are slightly miffed that there wasn't a variable aperture, but I think they've probably got to leave some spec for the Mavic 4 whenever that comes out as well. Don't they?
There has to be a differentiator, isn't there? And that's it. Really, that seems to be the point at which they'll throw all sorts of other tech at it. They'll throw the additional obstacle avoidance and trial all of that. But yeah, it's that adjustable aperture and possibly the optical zoom that they draw the line at and say, no, you got to go up to Mavic.
Okay, and I'm looking here, and I'm going to start the random counter thingy to bring up someone's name. It's a little spinny. And the winner is Heath George. I'm sure I know Heath from the channel before. I think he used to watch us quite a bit. Are you the Australian Heath? Let me know in the chat if you are, because then I have heard of you. But hey, even if you're not, congratulations. Email at geeksvana.com, and I have a little way of checking that it is your account, so we'll do that quickly, and then we'll submit your details across to DJI Hasselblad for you to be able to win your voucher. So, but well done there. But yes,
congratulations.
So yes. So indeed, excellent. Well done, Heath. We'll give another one away very, very, very soon. So. And Dan the Drone Man is mentioning somebody else. No, there's no change for 259 grams. VLOS needs to be maintained, operator ID, and needs to be stuck to the drone body somewhere. Yes, I'm not sure which one he was answering there. As obviously we've got lots of.
I did see one pop up, but it overtake. Hey guys, I've seen so many vids around new CAA rules around DJI. for 249 class, is there any change around flying VLOS? No.
No.
No. Obviously, with operator license.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So thank you, Dan, for answering that as well. But yes, no changes. And bear in mind that when you get things from the CAA, like the AMC, where it talks about orientation, that is essentially their gold pass to guarantee that you're flying legally. You can fly outside of the CAA's VLOS guidance and still be perfectly legal and flying within legislation. We do, guess what? We have a video in our UK drone guide series, which explains how you can fly further than the CAA guidance on VLOS, but staying legal. Spoiler, it doesn't mean you get to fly miles and miles away. I don't have some secret wand for you to be able to fly. There is no magic. And a small drone, you still have to keep it pretty close to you, basically, from that point of view. So yes. TC saying, got into bother recently around hovering over neighbours. In no way true and case dismissed, but just wanted to check. No, indeed. I mean, this is actually going to be, and we have a video on this in terms of another site in Cheshire, Manchester, that's had a court injunction to stop people flying drones over it. It's an urbexy type of abandoned explorer type of place. And lots of people have been flying drones, but very low. There is a big difference between being able to fly over residential properties, especially with sub 250, and that whole thing of, as you're saying there, hovering and that type of thing. As you say, that it wasn't true and case dismissed, but yes, it's one of the things that you do need to still be careful of from that point of view. And yes, looking at the DJI Air 3S leaks from like 9 months ago, I thought it was a joke. Now we have this drone. Excellent. Yeah, that is the thing with the leak videos, isn't it? So, NJS, do you think the Air 3S is a leap forward or just an iteration? Well, in my recorded video earlier, I described it as, I don't think you're going to be missing out dramatically if you don't get this drone. If you have the Air 3, I don't think you're going to be missing out in any kind of huge way. There isn't a huge gotcha. However, it is more than an iteration. The things like the LiDAR sensor and actually what that brings to the party, the extra obstacle avoidance, that type of thing, and the 1-inch sensor, there is a lot there. It is far more than just an iteration, but it isn't as if, almost like this is nothing like the Mini 2 to the Mini 3 change. Let's put it that way. Basically, this is definitely an upgrade, but as Graham said, it's one of those upgrades that is necessary to get us to where we're going. Basically, and it is also an interesting one from the point of view of upgrades of the bar it sets in terms of what the next main Mavic drone's got to be, and indeed what the Air 4 whenever that happens.
Precisely what Dan's just said. Excited about the Mavic 4
yes.
Pro now.
Although I have to say, I'm seeing a lot of people talking about the Mavic 4 Pro, and there's obviously always leaks. I mean, there are leaks out there for the Phantom 5 still somewhere. But I have to say, do not hold off if you're waiting for the Mavic 4 in terms of being on the horizon and that type of thing. I don't necessarily think that that's going to help you very much, and you may be waiting longer than you think, shall we say, from that point of view. Keith Nicholson, what can be about so-called auditors that post YouTube videos that quite clearly have no VLOS? Yep. Keep in mind, so many videos are edited for the purposes of entertainment, and sometimes what you're seeing is not necessarily what's happened, all that kind of thing. I've said a lot on auditors in the past, but yes, and people keep doing it and they keep posting it online. If they are breaking the law, they will come a cropper. Things will change, basically, and
the problem will come the day they have a real issue, the day they really upset somebody. They are hauled up for something they've done very specific, and then everything else will be looked over and raked over. Yep. And check. Yeah,
no, indeed. And Andrew, I know what you mean. It's interesting actually with the 700 nit on the Air 3S controller, and I know what you mean that the 1000 is always the thing that in my mind, I'm always sort of a bit like engine sizes and that type of thing. I'm sort of like, 1000 nits is really what I need. I have to say, so far, I haven't had any problem in terms of seeing the picture on here, and I think that's also not just because of the nit level of 700, but I think that's actually also to do with the fact that the feed is such good quality as well. So I haven't had a problem yet, but again, I am in the UK in the south of the country, so perhaps I don't have particularly huge issues in terms of bright sunny days. But
I use an iPad with the Inspire, and you do get used to shading, creating a shadow, and working.
But the iPad is weird, isn't it? Because it does all sorts of variations depending on which model you've got, and the iPhone in terms of it can sometimes just suddenly go dark and that type of thing. I used to fly the Inspire with the iPad, and I had had all sorts of problems. Will the beacon dynamically update return to home? Something that's needed for ages. I know nothing about the beacon, and it hasn't been released. It wasn't part of the testing kit with this. It's not as if they were going to release it and they decided not to, and that type of thing. I wonder if it will become the next DJI watch. Do you remember the watch that was leaked a few years ago that was supposed to be a watch that could also control your drone, basically, which sounds ludicrous now. Imagine how ludicrous it was 5 years ago. And I wonder if that beacon could be connected with that. I also wonder if it's a completely different marketplace and whether or not the beacon would suit something more like the drone in a box. So we have no details, we have no idea, no knowledge in terms of what that product's actually going to be and what level of drone, whether it's going to be a recreational thing or not. Also, keep in mind, if it is a beacon similar to the Skydio aircraft, of course, cannot get approval to be flown in the UK. So it hasn't been cleared. The Skydio being flown via the beacon, you wouldn't actually be able to do it in the UK under most scenarios. And in fact, when I hassled them a few years ago, when Skydio was still a popular drone, the Skydio 2, everyone didn't hate them. And I was hassling them to find out when we can get them in the UK. They said, actually, due to regulations, it's highly doubtful that will happen. And indeed, that has been the case so far. But of course, they've now pulled out of the consumer market completely, which is very nice of them. Right, let's give away another voucher. Graham, choose the hashtag.
Oh, crikey.
So I can put it into my little system here, please.
Well,
pressure.
Hashtag Air3S.
Very good. All one word.
We need to get people using. Yeah, all one word.
Yes, excellent. That'll help the YouTube algorithm, if such a thing does help the YouTube algorithm. I've no idea.
Anybody who's on the phone having to switch from letters to numbers are going to be cursing me.
Yeah, it's not speed. We will give everybody a minute to be able to put the hashtag in there, so that they can basically try and win something. So yes. And we will put that in. And this is for DJI Hasselblad UK. So remember, it will be the UK site that this will be valid for. It's another £50 one. Thank you again. I'm thanking them yet again because I think it's awesome when they give us prizes. They give us, commission, which we're giving to charity, which is amazing, which is very kind of them as well. And then they also give us prizes as well and help us with the, having the equipment to be able to review these things as well, which is awesome. So thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. Right, we've got lots more coming in, so we'll give it another minute for those to roll in. Is there something missing, as someone that's coming from the bigger drones to the smaller drones? Is there something missing for you in terms of what these smaller consumer drones need to have that would make you, run out and buy one of these? Because I presume you're not going to run out and buy one of these at the moment.
I'm not, because I've sort of got enough drones. See, I for the sort of flying I do, I don't see a benefit from improved optical sensing in terms of obstacle avoidance. It's really, I'd want to be fair, I wouldn't need an optical zoom on it, so that's fair enough. And I don't do a lot of video, so I can't complain about the aperture. So actually, if I needed that sort of size drone, something to fit in there, if I didn't have the Mavic 2, then the
Mavic 2 Pro is such a beast, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's so many people that have that drone still, and they'll start having conversations about the smaller foldable drones, and it'll come up straight away. So do you know what? I still can't quite get past the Mavic 2 Pro for what I need it for. It's incredible.
A bit of a classic. Say I used it the other weekend and alongside the Inspire, and it was lovely. It really was. It was so refreshing. I haven't flown it sort of professionally for quite a while now, but to get it in the air, it's really nice experience. So yeah,
very cool.
It's sorry, DJI, you made that one too well.
Exactly. Excellent. Okay, well, we'll press stop on the prize draw there, and we will start the little spinny, and it will come up with a name very, very soon, and then I'll be able to highlight it. Famous last words. Will this work twice in a row seamlessly?
Chances.
That work? Yes. Okay. Fly with me. Congratulations. Your hashtag is all correct and everything, so that's perfect. Email me, email@geeksvana.com. We'll do the little check to make sure it's your user ID, just in case somebody else tries to take your prize. And yeah, congratulations. And congratulations to Heath, the previous winner as well. Very good. Very exciting. Isn't that great? You get to hear about a new drone and you get to potentially win a bit of cash.
Yeah, lovely.
Yes, very, very cool. Excellent. Okay, well, that is basically everything from us this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. I didn't want to rattle on because we've also put something out as well. Gaz T, thank you for joining the Very Specific Network. We're one of our higher tier members. I really, really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. All of our channel members are awesome, awesome people. We will be having a members meetup, video meetup before the end of the week. And I'll even try to make that one that Graham can catch as well. And look at that. Smeghead's been a Raw Plus member for 50 months.
50 months.
That's crazy, isn't it?
That's a long
There must be something better you can do with the money. I mean, thank you very much.
As old as me.
For half century of months, that's pretty crazy. And there you go, Johnny DRC, who's been a member for 35 months on the Supporter Plus. Thank you. Yeah, it means a lot more to me. Thank you, everyone. I really do. I really do appreciate it.
I'm just a baby on the show, aren't I?
Indeed, yes. Compared to some of these guys, yes, they've gone through many a co-host and everything else like that. So yes. But excellent. We're back on air tomorrow as well. Myself and Graham, we're talking about the CAA and some BV loss, some exciting news on that side of things, which we're going to break down. And actually, beyond visual line of sight, missions being able to be flown in the UK with, I'm not going to call it, it's still complex, it's still complicated. There's still a big approval process. But you are technically operating in the specific category still, aren't you, with this new atypical system? Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting one. So do join us for that one tomorrow. I'll say Sean out, and then I'll give Graham the last word.
And I shall say, fly safely, everybody.